Time for the hot topic of the hour. The Supreme Court hearing oral arguments on President Trump's emergency tariff authority. Chief Justice Roberts pushing back against the president's legal team yesterday. Watch.
The tariffs are a tax, and that's a core power of Congress. But they're a foreign-facing tax, right? And that foreign affairs is a core power of the executive. And I don't think you can dismiss the consequences. I mean, we didn't stay this case, and one thing is quite clear is that the foreign-facing tariffs were quite effective in achieving particular objectives. So I don't think you can just separate it when you say, well, this is a tax to Congress's power. It implicates very directly the president's foreign affairs power.
President Trump telling Fox News last night, and has been saying this for months, it would be devastating for the country if the Supreme Court rules against him. Joining me now is former federal prosecutor Katie Cherkasky. Katie, good to see you.
Morning.
What's your take on how the Supreme Court rules here?
Well, it looked like from the arguments that it is going to be an uphill battle for the administration to win this case. The court expressed a significant concern about the separation of powers and the idea that the statute that's being used to enforce these tariffs does not really authorize the president explicitly to do that. So it's hard to say because the president does have such unfettered discretion to deal with emergencies that he so declares, and also with foreign policy, and the courts can't weigh in on that. But the question is whether these are really taxes that fall within Congress's authority.
I mean, I guess it's three swing votes: Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Kavanaugh, and Justice Coney Barrett. Any thoughts on how they would rule on their swing votes? We're going to get the announcement next month.
Well, based on the arguments, it seemed like only Justice Alito was openly favorable to the administration's position. The other so-called conservative justices seemed a little hesitant, and he does need 5 of them. And so I think that he's pretty short based upon reading into the rhetoric at the arguments, of course. But it is going to be difficult for the court because they have been very respectful and deferential to the executive's authority in so many other cases, which is why President Trump keeps winning. But in this case, they are concerned that the tariffs are taxes and that is explicitly something within Congress's ambit.
Now, Mark, you made the point earlier that the president has backup plans.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that. But 3 months ago, or actually 2 months ago, when I interviewed President Trump, I asked him about backup plans. He didn't want to go too much into it, but he did point out one very important issue. And here it is. Watch this.
What is your backup plan should the Supreme Court decision go against you on the tariffs and the emergency
Well, I'll have to figure something out. I don't want to even think about it. We're doing so well to think about it. You know, if that happened, we'd have to pay back money. So if anything would happen with that, that would mean they're allowed to use tariffs and we're not. If they took away, this is national security, if they took away tariffs, then they've taken away our national security.
That was just last month, and he specifically said we're going to have to pay back money. I mean, that's...
Yeah, not to mention the fact that we, from a national security standpoint, it's really reducing our negotiating leverage. And we've had a ton of that. I mean, look at how quickly we got a rare earth deal with China. It's pretty impressive. But, you know, it seems like the Supreme Court is really, they're discussing how, not if, these tariffs can be actually implemented. And it seems like the backup plan already is Section 122, which gives you an immediate 15% tariff across the board, followed by Section 338, whereby President Trump can impose up to a 50% tariff on any country that's discriminating against us, currency manipulation, things like that. So my take is that 12 months from today, you're probably going to have the same exact tariff scenario. Any take on that?
Well, I think that you're right, because this court decision is based on the interpretation of this particular statute, the IEEPA, and whether that statute has language that authorizes the president to use tariffs in this manner. So if they use a different legal mechanism, then that's a totally different question altogether, and it certainly could be helpful for him.
And we talked about Section 112 of the Constitution, Section 232, Section 301, Section 338. I mean, he will come up with ways to get that $150 billion, but it will certainly be a blow, as the president has said many times. Attorney General Pam Bondi, meanwhile, has revealed that the Biden Justice Department, Katie, has seized President Trump's official cell phone and has subpoenaed his personal call logs during his first term. This is incredible. Bondi said we can never again allow this kind of government weaponization in America. Yesterday, we talked about it with the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Watch this.
What I want to know is, what did the judge know? What did the judge know who issued the non-disclosure order saying to Verizon, you can't tell the person who has that phone number, whose phone logs the government is getting, you can't tell them that this is taking place? Did the judge know that it was the president's phone, that it was Senator Cruz's phone? I mean, that's something that we're going to look into as well. I think that's important. You would think that the judge did when he issued the non-disclosure, when he put the gag order on it. But we don't know. You talk about the weaponization of government, going after your political opponents. That's what this was. They went after the Republicans, plain and simple. I mean, all kinds of members of Congress, the president, the vice president, and of course the Republican Party, and all kinds of entities associated with the Republican Party.
So what about that? I mean, to seize the president's phone during his first term and subpoena all of his personal records from his personal phone. Wow.
Well, a lot of people have been saying that this is a scandal that is bigger than Watergate, and I think that's very fair because this is pure weaponization to target your political opponents using the legal system without any sort of basis and violating, Fourth Amendment, having absolutely no regard for the constitutional provisions and the legal system that we depend on. And once you start doing that, nobody can trust the legal system. No prosecution can ever be trusted. No acquittal can never be trusted. It's all going to be politicized, and that collapses everything. So it's not hyperbolic to say that that is so significantly detrimental to our country.
Well, I mean, this has been going on a decade, Katie, as you know, beginning with the Russia collusion lie that they came up with to stop an outsider, Donald Trump, from coming into government. The Justice Department is now urging a Virginia federal court to reject former FBI Director James Comey's bid to drop his criminal case. He wants it dropped. Comey's lawyers are arguing that documents seized during his time at the FBI should not be used in the criminal case, saying that they were obtained through warrants 5 years ago over Comey's alleged confidential information leak. The judge presiding over the case ordering the prosecution to hand over a full transcript of the case to the grand jury ahead of the trial. Katie, where does this go? Are you expecting new charges against Comey? And what about John Brennan? Do you believe this was a conspiracy over the last 10 years?
Well, I think a lot of what is going on in the Comey case is some defense posturing. I'm a defense attorney. I was a prosecutor. The defense is going to go after anything they can to try to get rid of a case. But that doesn't undermine the fact that this case is pretty open and shut. They have very clear evidence. And especially when you read the actual messages exchanged between Comey and his law professor friend, it is so incredibly damning, and I think the government has an open and shut case against him on that. And to the extent that they're seeking to dismiss it, of course they're going to try to do that in any way possible. But I don't think it's open to dismissal on the basis that they've raised at this point.
I mean, Chris, this is incredible that this has been going on for 10 years. And, the critics of President Trump want to say, oh, this is revenge. This is President Trump getting back at people. No, it's actually just accountability. We can't allow one political party to come up with some lie about, potential treason and let it go viral across the world.
Right, and that's why this case is so vital to rebuilding that trust in the justice system, in just our system of laws in general, our belief in that the FBI and the DOJ generally are working on behalf of the American people and not on behalf of any specific party. And hopefully, it goes exactly as you were saying, that the case continues to go through, it doesn't get dropped, and we can actually see the process go ahead.
I mean, do you think that we will see accountability? It's a long time coming.
Well, I certainly hope so. I think that obviously James Comey, the case against him is about a lie, and the case is very straightforward when you actually look at specifically what happened. But President Trump, because he doesn't like James Comey, does not make it a vindictive prosecution. Two things can be true at the same time. Somebody can be disliked by an individual, and they can also be criminally culpable for something. And that is the distinction that I think the semantic games that are played about you can't go after somebody because then it would be lawfare. Holding someone accountable for engaging in lawfare themselves is not also lawfare. It's not always circular.
That's right.
So certainly I think that this should proceed and there should be accountability.
Great point all around. Katie, thank you. Katie
Cherkasky
joining us here.